episode of Chamber Talks. It's been a week with many challenges and a state and country in crisis, but we're here to be your support. We're here to be your shoulder. We're here to support you and your businesses. And there's good news. There's good policies taking place in New Jersey, which we'll report on. And we have special guests that are helping the community. So at the end of the day, call us, text us, reach out to us on our social media, and we will be here to help you. Thanks again. Can you say a few words for us, Kwa?
Of course. Thanks, Carlos. What's up, everybody? Here's another week of Chamber Talks. I'm excited to talk about, have our new guest to talk about, and it's about loans, and it's about working with small banks and the advantages of that. And so for the small businesses that are out there, and I got a bunch of friends that are working with small, I'm included too. I work with a small bank as well, and there's a lot of advantages to that. So I have a lot of questions, and I like to bring that to the front for Chamber Talk. So with that, let's do some preliminaries. Make sure you're subscribing to youtube.com/SHCCNJ. Hit that like button on Facebook. Send those comments out. Make sure you're sharing the links out there and really just supporting the platform. So with that, let's get started.
The largest chamber in the state.
These 60 million Latinos.
You are part of what makes this country great. Congratulations and thank you.
We're lucky this week to have somebody, an organization that's a new sponsor, supporter, showing their support and the fact that they realize there's a value with the Hispanic business community. So I'd like to thank Valley Bank, and I'd like to introduce Steve Vitali, who's going to talk about what the bank's doing and the fact that they still have PPP money available. So listen closely.
Hey, Steve.
Good afternoon. First, Carlos, Kwa, thank you very much for having me on your show today.
Of course.
I'd like to start by saying that as someone of Latino American heritage, it's very exciting for me to be here today representing Valley Bank, a financial institution that's truly committed to helping the communities that it serves, and who is making a direct outreach to minority, women-owned, and non-for-profit businesses in the areas that we service. Over the past few months, Valley has committed to playing an important part in the SBA payroll protection initiative. For example, we've processed over 12,000 applications, 30% of which were to minority, women-owned, and non-for-profit organizations, funding $2.2 billion in loans that supported 10,000 business owners and saved approximately 170,000 jobs. So I just want to take a moment there and say, as a commercial banker, I'm very lucky to work with entrepreneurs and small business owners every day, but to be a part of something so important as the SBA PPP program really gives me the privilege to see the positive impact that we can have on our communities when we make it a priority as an organization. I'd also like to talk to you a little bit about what Valley's doing that has really helped our local communities. As I reach out to the statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of New Jersey, one of the things that I would tell you is anybody watching this segment who is in need, a business owner who's in need of a PPP loan, we are still absolutely accepting applications. And there are two ways to do that. You can reach out directly to a local Valley personal banker, or you can reach out to me directly via email. My email address and contact information will be shared by the Chamber and by Chamber Talks. What I'd like to say is any application inquiry that I get will be forwarded to a personal banker who will directly outreach to the business owner and support them throughout the entire application process. I think that's an important distinction that Valley really wants to emphasize. We know that the PPP process can be very confusing for business owners who are focused on running their business through a very challenging time. So we view our role as being a supportive one, where we want to walk you through the entire process and help you through it as much as we can. And if you reach out to us, either through the Chamber Talks, or if you're a minority that feels more comfortable conversing in your native language, let us know, and we will be sure to assign a personal banker who's fluent in that language so that we can make the process as easy as possible. for me, it's very, very important during this difficult time to do everything possible to help our local communities. You know, it's one thing to say that we're there for the community and business owners. It's another thing to really take those extra steps. We've rallied 500 personal bankers at Valley National Bank to make them available to work directly, round the clock, dedicating as much time as possible to help the business owners that reach out to us for PPP loans. I'll say for myself, I processed a few PPP loans and a few times had to spend 3, 4, even 5 hours walking these business owners through the application. Because as I said, you know, it's tough enough running a business, you know, being a minority women owned or non-for-profit organization these days, but to really understand the nuances of the SBA application process, you know, it's difficult. And that's where we as bankers can really serve a purpose in our community and really help. So I'm very proud of the fact that Valley has taken the extra steps to say we're going to make these people available to help our community and these business owners. And I'll end it by saying I'm very proud of the organization for making a direct outreach. It's one thing to say we're helping the community, but to really say we also want to make an outreach to minority, women-owned, and non-for-profit organizations, I think is really important in order to encourage economic diversity within the communities that we service.
Cool. Thank you so much, Steve. I want to ask a few questions.
Sure.
Maybe not in the right orders here, but my first question is, why are there so much PPP money still lingering around
Sure.
for the second phase of it?
Sure. What we saw in phase one, it was primarily the larger businesses that applied first. So these were organizations that needed larger dollar amounts, had an infrastructure where they were more easily and faster able to navigate through the SBA PPP application process. So those dollars went very quickly. What I'm glad about is that the government funded phase two, which really saw a second wave of really small business owners apply. And as these are truly small businesses with, you know, less than 15 staff at their company, that's where the loan amounts have been smaller and the dollars have been able to last longer. So I'm very pleased to see that we continue to have dollars available to help these small business owners. I'll say Valley has done loans as high as several million. Our smallest loan was for $77.
Crazy. Do you have any anticipation of when the money might run out? So I know we're trying to get that message out there. Don't stall. Please get your application in. But any guesstimate?
You know, I think, Carlos, your guidance is very on point. If I had to guess, I'd say it could last anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks. So if the money is there, the government is coming out with a forgiveness program. So now is the time to apply. And if there's any hesitation or fear that a business owner out there is not going to have the resources or the knowledge to navigate the process, that's where organizations like Valley Bank will have people on staff, people who speak different languages, are bilingual, and can walk you through the entire process and will stay with you from the application process to documentation to funding. So absolutely, time is of the essence. Apply now.
Another question for you, Steve. I know every bank has a different type of process going through the PPP. You know, I can tell you that the big banks, they might have advertised as how easy it is, and it turns out that there's like 4 more doors behind it to get through. And then even though you might be the first one to fill out the application, there's a bunch they're the one that actually holds it up still because they won't submit it, and that puts you back in the line as well. So I want you to talk about what Valley Bank can do. You know, is there 4 doors behind that? Is there, or is this kind of fill the application? Here's the documentation, and we'll process your application as soon as possible. That's what I'm hoping for here.
Sure. I'll say the key piece for us of the SBA PPP application is really the certification that the business owner is going to make, asserting the need for the specific dollar amount and certain key economic information that is supported by specific tax information and personal financial statements. So really for us, once the application is filled out, what we're really doing is ensuring that the backup documentation is there for the SBA's final approval. So it's really, for us, a one-step process. The business owner fills out the application, submits it to us. Our one step is really reviewing it, to making sure that the minimum information necessary to achieve SBA PPP approval is there and is acceptable. But again, I would say for us, we put a lot of reliance at Valley Bank on the business owner certification in terms of needs and specific financial information. So I think that's where we were able to navigate an application process that worked for us and worked for the applicants that applied through Valley Bank.
I could definitely attest to that because I have a friend. She owns, a restaurant franchise. She owns a warehouse. She does imports ethnic foods and stuff, and she banks with Valley. And then she told me that, well, she got her PPP way before anything else, and it was very quick, going through your process. So I could vouch for that. Saying that, I said, who's Valley? When I heard it the first time, and they said, oh, it's a small bank that we bank in Jersey. And I said, well, I tried with my big bank. I'm not gonna name who, but it's and I didn't get a response fast enough, and they got it really quick. So, kudos to you on that one. So I could definitely attest to that.
Thank you, Kwa. I really appreciate that. I would say, going back to Carlos's point about timeliness, I think one of the important things that just came out is that we saw that the Senate passed a vote in regards to PPP forgiveness that rolls back the minimum 75% rule spent towards payroll costs, rolling it back to 60%. So I think, there are a lot of positive things coming out from the government now in regards to the program. These programs really are intended to help our local business owners. So again, if you haven't applied, I would suggest do so as soon as possible, because this program really is meant to help the local business owners.
Great, Steve. Thank you for this great advice, and thanks for becoming a part of our familia.
Gracias.
And shout out to your colleague Sophie, who's at all our events and has pulled you to many. So thanks again, and we will keep you posted. We anticipate a lot of calls after folks hear this news.
Thank you. Sophie Cordero and I at Valley National Bank are very happy to be here, and we look forward to a long and prosperous relationship. Kwa, Carlos, thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Have a good one.
That was great information from Steve of Valley Bank. And we have our reporter on the street, the person that knows more small businesses in New Jersey than anybody I know, the chairman of the Statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Luis de la Hoz. How are you doing today, Luis?
Pretty good. Very happy because we have making some progress with a lot of our business owners, and we are ready to open restaurants for outdoor seating in the June 15, and beauty salons and barber shop will be ready by June 22nd. And we are very happy because, they have been through difficult times because they have been closed for over 3 months. And yesterday we just have a conversation about how we can help them to get ready, to have a plan, to communicate with the customers and with the entities that will regulate them in order for them to be able to operate again. This is really important because we have a lot of beauty salons and barber shops in our communities. Remember, immigrants are 30% of the population in the state of New Jersey, but we hold more than 50% of the main street businesses, and that's really important. We contribute a lot of employee jobs in the state, and if they are open, we will offer a relief for the state of New Jersey that is struggling, trying to keep up with everybody that is trying to apply or getting unemployment. Plus, is a lot of people that they don't have access to any of the help that is available, especially business owners or employees, and this is the opportunity for them to get back to work and start helping themselves. I hope that a lot of people are ready to support a small business, that they start shopping hyper-local. Just try to focus the money that you spend on the zip code where you live, on the zip code where you work, because that's the best way that we can stimulate our own economy and we can help small businesses. 92% of the businesses in the US are micro businesses, and if 1 of every 3 micro businesses employ 1 more person, we will face full employment. That's the power of micro businesses. And here at the Statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, we are doing our best to provide new and better services to our members in order for them to get ready to the new economy. I just want to thank you for this opportunity. Please help our small businesses everywhere, because we really need that help. Thank you.
Question, Luis. What are some of the challenges that these small salons are facing? Because I don't think they are. So I'll give you an example. My family owns nail salons, Vietnamese,
Yes.
of course, perfect stereotype. And I asked them, what are the problems that they might be facing? They have no idea what to face. They said, well, I don't know. We're just gonna open the doors up, and they prepared all the the materials, the plexiglasses and all type of stuff, but they don't have no idea what to expect.
Listen, the biggest challenge that we are facing is the digital divide, the gap that we have. And if we don't have social media presence, how you will communicate your customers that you are open, how you communicate with them, the protocols that you have in place, and the protocols that those customers need to follow in order for them to access the beauty salon or the barber shop, right? Those are the most important things that we need to address, because if we have the ability to communicate with the customers, and if we have the ability to attract customers and get paid electronically, because the idea is not to use cash, the idea is to accept payments electronically. Imagine that a beauty salon can book the appointment and get paid in advance, right? We have other businesses that they are selling gift cards or they are selling packages. In order for them to get the money now, even if the customer doesn't use the services today, that they can use it for Father's Day or for a later day. Those are the most important challenges. We talk about the delivery or pickup apps that are available. Many of our small business owners, they don't use those applications, or they don't use that properly. And I believe that the digital divide will lead the conversation from now on, because in order for us to be able to adjust to the new economy, we need to use more electronic payments, electronic resources, and we need to be able to keep up with the electronic economy.
Good point. Really good point. Yeah, I know there's tons of, as you would never think, but there's tons of businesses that still hasn't gone through the digital transformation yet. They're still doing cash-based business and books on if they even do the books. So good point. Very good point.
And just imagine, if you want to support a local business owner, you can transfer them money or you can use your credit card. But if I call you and I tell you that you need to give me all your credit card numbers over the phone, you won't feel like secure. Like, that's another thing. Mm-hmm. Now, the most important thing is that they communicate the protocols that they have in place in order to keep the security and the health of the employees and the customers. That's the first recommendation. That is probably more important than the actual service that they provide or the products that they sell.
I have another question. Sorry, you could jump in too, Carlos, but I have a question. So with these changes and affecting all these businesses, but then there hasn't been a deflation in the economy. If anything, there's an inflation. So not only will you make less business than you did before, you're creating more restrictions around them, trying to have the potential to bring more business in, but we can't give it to them because of those restrictions, those regulatory restrictions and compliance that they have to go through. How do they solve that type of stuff? Are they, do they have to increase now? They have to increase the prices for everybody?
No, I think that we are planning on putting something together, a platform like a business to business or a business to consumer platform that would allow the small businesses to integrate to the digital economy faster and easier, that basically we will do part of the work for them in order for them to be able to participate. But the other thing is, as a citizens and as individuals, now we have the challenge that we need to make ourselves available in order for us to support those customers. It's our responsibility. They employ a lot of people. They employ our family members, our friends. And this is the time that we need to support Main Street businesses. And we have that ability. We just need to be patient, and we need to understand that as a customer, we can also put like our effort to try to solve that issue.
Yeah, well, I will make the point that the platform that we're talking about, the idea would be that increase in revenue would help make up for the, you know, the gap that you're talking about. Some businesses will have small fees, but I would say they might land on delivery and charges that you're upgrading the experience. You know, consumers might be willing to pay a small bit more if there's a better value and a better experience, but larger volume is what we're hoping to do through a digital platform.
And if the state and the companies that are based in New Jersey make an effort to buy products and services in New Jersey that they are buying outside of New Jersey, I think that that will help our business owners, our community. I mean, let's try to buy New Jersey products and services, and that will help a lot.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Luis. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me, and hopefully we will see each other next week.
All right.
Thanks, Luis.
Bye-bye.
That was great. I thank Luis very much. And he doesn't take credit, but the fact that the EDA put out $50 million in the street and made sure that the distribution of capital went to diverse communities, they did that by implementing opportunity zones. So $15 million will go to opportunity zones, and that's because of people like our chairman, Luis de la Hoz. So we thank him very much for being at the table and pushing for that. And now we have a friend of the familia, a member of the familia, who was part of our Modern Latina panel, Raquel Kegley, who's the Senior Vice President at Alamo Insurance Group. How you doing today? Hola, Raquel.
Hola, Carlos. Thank you for having me on today. And a big hello to all my statewide familia.
Great. Thank you for being with us. One question that's been coming up, and I hope you could at least give us, you know, shed a little light on it because of your firm's expertise. Unfortunately, because of some of the civil unrest and the rioting, some of our members have had property damage to their businesses, you know, liquor stores, bodegas. Any advice on what they should look for in their policy, what they should be asking their broker to make sure they're covered?
Absolutely. So, Carlos, every insurance policy is a contract, and every contract is different. But overall, you will find people will find that their commercial policies do cover riot or civil commotion, provided that it is listed as a peril on their contract. So this is a good opportunity, especially with everything going on, for people to take a look at their commercial policies and see exactly what's covered and what's not covered. And if they actually incurred a loss at this point in time, to make sure that they file a police report, take pictures, and begin to assess what losses they incurred in order to submit that claim to secure their reimbursement.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of misinformation on social media, which is not uncommon. But one quote I keep on seeing is riot and civil unrest or civil commotion are never covered by an insurance carrier. So what's going on will never be covered. So you're saying that's not accurate?
That's not accurate. Every policy is individual and every policy is different. That's why it's so important to review the type of policy that you have with your insurance broker to ensure that you have coverages, especially for riots and civil unrest. And it does differ from policy to policy. On a general basis, most insurance carriers will cover it, but it's every individual's responsibility to ensure that they list riots as well as civil unrest as a named peril under their policy.
Got you. We had an experience with one of our members that had a fire, And unfortunately, to save money, he underestimated the value of his inventory. So when he lost all his inventory, he only had about a 25% of the value listed. So I know I'm preaching to the choir, but maybe to the choir, maybe you could remind our members, don't try to save a couple dollars on your insurance policy, because God forbid you have a disaster. It could wipe out your business.
Absolutely. And sometimes, unfortunately, we're short-sighted in thinking that we don't need a certain coverage. However, we need to take in consideration that if we don't account for the value that is within our properties as well as our businesses, we may shortchange ourselves in the long run, and we never want to do that. So definitely, this is a great opportunity. I would tell everyone to take a detailed look at what you have as coverage and make sure that if you don't have certain coverages, this would be the time to definitely make sure that you amend your policy to include those things such as riots, as well as civil commotion if it's not already included.
Great. Do you have any questions, Kwa? I know you have a lot of members in your chamber and in your Jersey City community.
I don't have any questions on top of my head right now. Maybe I do, but maybe I do. I guess from an insurance standpoint, with all these things that are happening, are they able to? Okay, so what if the businesses or the insurance company that they don't cover it, right? What if they don't? How? I mean, is it pretty much done for, or is there a way that is there any type of? I guess that's part of insurance, right? Where you're supposed to get it pre-insured you bought into it, and then you're able to get that done, but reimbursed for that. So, are there any flexibility around it? Because this is such a time. There's such a time that you would never think that your business is gonna get destroyed because of someone comes in and just wants to throw a fire in it, and and if you think about it, it's not their fault. It's not like they left the stove on and put it on fire. It's not their fault for that. It's a contribution of the government. It's contribution of everyone, and they were just in the crossfire of that.
Absolutely, and that's understandable. What I would reassure everyone that is facing a situation of this nature is to take a look at their policy. And I say that because most policies will include vandalism and malicious mischief, which would cover the fires, explosion, broken doors, broken windows, and structural damage, which would be inclusive of, the landscapes, fences, and sheds. So I would say before someone just would discount that they don't have it, make absolutely sure, because most policies will cover it. And if for any reason they find themselves in a situation that it's not covered, unfortunately, insurance companies won't provide a retro effective date once an incident's occurred. But the most important thing at this time I would suggest to everyone, y la familia, look at your policies, speak with your brokers, make sure that you have the coverage that you need, and don't just initially think you don't have it because someone says it. Look at the policy, because the policy is your contract, and if it's in it, you are covered and you can secure your reimbursement for those incidents.
Thank you for that. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great information. I'll remind folks, you could also have your attorney review your as Raquel said, your contract, your policy. But it's the reason why having a broker that knows your culture, speaks your language, is who's representing you. So we're lucky to hear from one of the largest minority-owned insurance brokers in the state of New Jersey, in the Alamo Insurance Group. And thanks for their senior vice president, Raquel, who's part of our family, for joining us today. What you said was very valuable. And we'll put some website information in case anybody wants to reach out with additional questions. But thank you so much for your knowledge.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me today. Y estamos aquí para servirle.
Gracias.
So, Carlos, before we close, what do you think about the new PPP news with the House and the Senate unanimously voting for the flexibility of the PPP loan?
Yeah, it's great news for, both our chambers members, because there was a built-in defect in the original plan, because it asked you what are 2.5 months of your payroll and expenses, and then they turned around and said, well, we'll forgive it if you could show us 2 months. So a lot of folks were running up short. So the proposal that's on the president's desk right now is that instead of 8 weeks, you'll have 24 weeks to spend it. So that'll be more than enough for our businesses on payroll alone. Never mind that they also change the percentage in this proposal. Now it's 60% payroll, 40% utilities, et cetera. But it always could be 100% payroll, which I envision will be most cases will be 100% of the payroll, because now you're 24 weeks, you're triple the amount of time to spend it. So it's great news. It's good for the forgiveness process. And I anticipate more loans will convert into forgivable grants at this point because of it.
I totally agree. I got the first news on the email, and I heard about that, and I was just like, I had to do a double broke my neck looking at it. I'm like, really? Is that true? And so me as a business owner having the PPP as well has tremendously helped my business incredibly. From an employment standpoint. I just wish that I had more PPP now that it's 24 weeks, right? But it totally changes it doesn't change the strategy, because I already allocated all the money to make sure that we spend it within the 8 weeks. If anything, they didn't give me enough for what I asked for, which, so I hope that they do go to another PPP round with the new flexibility of the PPP, because I think there was a lot of holdback from other businesses trying to get the PPP as well because of the non-flexibility. They don't want to wrap it to a loan. Also, they're turning the flex. One of the changes also is it's not 2 years anymore for the loan. It's a 5-year.
Correct.
1% rate. That changes the whole game as well. So I have to assume that with this change, now everyone's going to be flying. That additional money that's left in the at the reserves is probably just going to go away very, very quickly.
Yeah, I'll remind folks to reach out to Valley, because they still have their guesstimate a couple of weeks of funding. Mm-hmm. Yeah, on that point, hopefully people of influence are listening to this Chamber Talk show. But I would say if they had round 2 of funding, wouldn't it be great that they just called individuals that had PPP funding and saying, this was really to get you over the hump for 2.5 months. The crisis is now 3.5 months. Apply for a little re-up. That's because right. You wouldn't have to submit too much more information. I know businesses that got 20,000, they'd be dying to get another 10, or companies that got 200,000 that would be dying to get, another 50, because that's really the damage. It's not like there was this random number that the government selected on what the damage was. Certainly this has gone longer than what that PPP application asked for.
I totally agree. And I also think that the people that got the EIDL loan, it's coming from the same pool. It's not 2 separate budgets. It's from the $3 trillion stimulus still. So technically, if they want, they could take the EIDL loan and take a portion of that and turn it into forgiveness as well.
Yeah, that's true. That would be great.
Right.
That would be great.
So with that, you want to talk about the census?
Yeah, we have a sponsor of ours that played a little commercial on the census, and I also was involved in Passaic County, had a webinar on the census. They gave a real great example. Passaic County during the last census was determined to be a little bit over 500,000 residents, and neighboring Morris County was a hair under 500. And on the new stimulus package, it was what you would call a cliff. Either you made it and you got funding, or even if you were short by one person, you got 0 funding. So they got, I want to say, and I apologize if I'm wrong in this number, they got like 80 million in funding, Passaic County. Morris County got 0, and they were at 497,000 residents. So imagine, I know Menendez and Booker are going to try to correct that so that Morris County would get some equitable funding, because that's very unfair. However, roads, bridges, schools, business loans. The census is relied upon for so much funding. So if you want to get your fair share, you have to accurately fill out the census. Nobody's taking that information. If you're undocumented, nobody's taking that information. It's a federal crime to take that information. So you have to fill it out, because it means the community you live in is going to be allocated their fair share. If they're at 50% of the folks that apply, you're going to be at 50% funding from one of your neighbors. You're going to have another situation like Passaic County and Morris County. That's a disaster. Your roads, your bridges, your schools where your children go, you want them to be fully funded. So please, I can't implore folks enough, fill out that census. It's your duty, your civic duty, and I hope everybody's going to fill it out.
Why do you think people are not filling it out? Is it because is it annoying, or is it because it's coming through a direct mail?
It's hard to say. I think some of it is just we're so frustrated as a society with government. So anything that comes from the government, there's a reluctance to open it and fill it out and comply. It's like, I don't have to do this, but I don't think there's an understanding of what it means to fill that out. You know, it really is going to help your community, your neighbors, your parents, your children. It's amazing the amount of funding that comes out of that census, and it's used by so many people in government, academia. We teach our entrepreneurs to use the census when they're marketing their restaurants. So it's really valuable information, and it really is tied to a lot of funding.
You know, I think if they made it, I think they made it easier to fill out, or simplify the process, or do it from an app, you know.
I believe we had, again, my wife did it, you know, I think she just got it in the mail, but did it online. She told me it took 3 minutes. So
okay,
so pretty streamlined process.
Make sure you're filling out the census, finish it up.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty much for this week's program. Anything you want to say?
Yeah, I'd say be on the lookout. We're planning for June 26th, a 3D virtual business expo, the first of its kind, at least that we've ever done. So it's going to be very limited tables because of the technology that is required to literally build your 20 by 20 booth, for example. But there'll be keynote speeches, there'll be networking events, free for all attendees. So all the education, all the speeches, all the networking is free. There will be a charge, obviously, to sponsors, but we anticipate a 10x factor on what the amount of business cards that will be handed out, impact, ROI. So if we had 1,000 people at our last expo, we guarantee you're going to have 10,000 people walk through the doors. The expo is going to live for more than a day. We haven't determined the exact time frame, but it could be 3 to 7 days. So folks come back into the room. Some live events will not be repeated. So day one is still going to be the hottest day. It's going to be when the most people are there. But you're going to be able to interact with other people, interact with businesses, get information. If you're a business, they could download your business card, your brochure. They could buy a product right off your shelf, and you could send them to links to your website. There's going to be advertising opportunities, floor tiles, wall banners. It's really a neat environment. So look for that in your mailbox, because there's a short video within it so you could really see the technology. It's really exciting. Anybody who has seen it has signed up right away. We already have sold tables before we even put this out to the public.
Wow. So again, when is it? And
June 26th. It's a Friday, but it'll live for more than June 26th. So you'll be in that virtual environment for a certain amount of days. So if you have a big business meeting on the 26th and you miss the live ribbon cutting, you'll be able to replay some things, some you won't. So if you don't see some components live, you'll miss them. But you'll be able to visit all the booths, see videos, enter a virtual movie theater where there could be a cooking class, there could be a yoga session. It's going to be really neat technology. You're going to be helping us, Kwa. So I haven't even asked you, but you're part of my my production team.
I'm looking forward to it. That's the first time I'm hearing about it, so that's cool. It sounds really cool.
Yep.
You know? Very cool. So I guess with that, so again, everybody, just make sure you're support the program. Like, comment, share, and with that, till next time.
See you, familia. Take care. Enjoy the weekend.
El Censo 2020 ya llegó y nos acompañan Johnny Carroll del Condado Passaic.
Llamarles al censo es importante, seguro y fácil.
El censo determinará cómo distribuir billones de dólares en fondos para nuestras escuelas, clínicas, carreteras y mucho más.
Todos contamos, sin importar su estatus de inmigración. Cuanto más respondamos, más recibimos.
Sus respuestas están protegidas por la ley.
Responder es tu deber. Toma el primer paso. Llena el formulario hoy mismo.